Hey guys, good morning. Today we are going to start new chapter Galatians. Introduction. Author. The opening verse identifies the author of Galatians as the Apostle Paul. Apart from a few 19th century interpreters, no one has seriously questioned his authorship. Date and destination. The date of Galatians depends to a great extent on the destination of the letter. There are two main views. The first view is the North Galatian theory. This older view holds that the letter was addressed to churches located in the North Central Asia Minor. Those are Pessinus, Ancyra, and Tavium, where the Gauls had settled when they invaded the area in the 3rd century BC. It is held that Paul visited this area on his second missionary journey. Though Acts contains no reference to such a visit, Galatians, it is maintained, was written between AD 53 and 57 from Ephesus or Macedonia. The second one, the South Galatian theory. According to this view, Galatians was written to churches in the southern area of the Roman province of Galatia, Antioch, Iconium, Lystra, and Derbe, that Paul had founded on his first missionary journey. Some believe that Galatians was written from Syrian Antioch in 48-49 after Paul's first journey and before the Jerusalem Council meeting. Others says that Galatians was written in Syrian Antioch or Corinth between 51 and 53 AD. Occasion and purpose. Judaizers were Jewish Christians who believed, among other things, that a number of the ceremonial practices of the Old Testament were still binding on the New Testament church. Following Paul's successful campaign in Galatia, they insisted that Gentile converts to Christians abide by certain Old Testament rites, especially circumcision. They may have been motivated by a desire to avoid the persecution of Zealot Jews who objected to their fraternizing with Gentiles. The Judaizers argued that Paul was not an authentic apostle and that out of a desire to make the message more appealing to Gentiles, he had removed from the gospel certain legal requirements. Paul responded by clearly establishing his apostolic authority and thereby substantiating the gospel he preached. By introducing additional requirements for justification, example, works of the law, his adversaries had perverted the gospel of grace and, unless prevented, would bring Paul's converts into the bondage of legalism. It is by grace through faith alone that people are justified, and it is by faith alone that they are to live out their new life in the freedom of the Spirit. Theological teaching. Galatians stands as an eloquent and vigorous apologetic for the essential New Testament truth that people are justified by faith in Jesus Christ, by nothing less and nothing more, and that they are sanctified not by legalistic works but by the obedience that comes from faith in God's work for them, in them and through them by the grace and power of Christ and the Holy Spirit. It was rediscovery of the basic message of Galatians and Romans that brought about the Protestant Reformation. Galatians is often referred to as Luther's book because Martin Luther relied so strongly on this letter in all his preaching, teaching, and writing against the prevailing theology of his day. It is also referred to as the Magna Carta of Christian liberty. When you look at chapter 2 verse 16. Outline. How many total? We have 6 chapters in this Galatian introduction. Chapter 1 to verse 1 to 10. Introduction. Under that, greetings and denunciation. Chapter 1 to 2 we can see personal. Authentication of the apostle of liberty and faith. Paul's gospel was received by special revelation, and Paul's gospel was independent of the Jerusalem apostle and Judean churches. Under that we can discuss evidence by his early activities as a Christian, and evidence by his first post-Christian visit to Jerusalem, evidence by his second post-Christian visit to Jerusalem, and evidence by his rebuke of Peter at Antioch. And chapter 3 and 4 we can see doctrinal, justification of the doctrine of the liberty and faith. Under that we can discuss the Galatians experience of the gospel, the experience of Abraham, the curse of the law, the priority of the promise, the purpose of the law, sons not slaves, the danger of turning back, appeal to embrace the freedom of God's children or children of the free women. And chapter 5 to 6 we can see practice of the life of liberty and faith. Under that we can see exhortation to freedom, live by the Spirit, not by the flesh, and call for mutual help. And chapter 6 is conclusion and benediction. So these 6 chapters we are going to discuss in our coming days, chapter by chapter, in our Bible study. God bless you and thank you.